So spring football is almost over now, with the USFL entering their playoffs this upcoming weekend, and the XFL having been wrapped up for the past month or so. So I decided to go in and check out the XFL's 2023 rookie draft to see what was going to be coming up for next year's spring football, since spring football has been kind of a topic that's really progressed this channel a lot. I'm very grateful for that. So I was really going to look forward into some of the future content I could talk about, as well as what to be expecting for next year. And I think I may have found a little gem here. And being someone who's involved with draft content and wanting to be really interested and involved in draft processes going forward and in the past, I have been involved with and am knowledgeable of some college drama, as well as knowing some of these prospects are. And it's helped me to identify some of these players that are going into these spring leagues that may have some upside potential. And we've seen players like in the USFL with Fonte Turpin, who got a big deal from the Cowboys, and Ja'Cour Pearson, who was getting a lot of hype from this past XFL season and got an invite to the Broncos training camp. I'm not sure if he's going to be signed by them, but he's the one probably most people are saying that is going to get the big extend or signing thing and be the next Fonte Turpin for the XFL. And I think I may have found the next guy who's going to be that spring football superstar that everyone's talking about and will get a tryout with the NFL because of his spring football excellence. And that's going to be Jahleel Billingsley, the tight end out of Texas, formerly from the University of Alabama. And if you haven't heard the name before, let me indulge you on what you really are going to be getting into when you see Jahleel Billingsley on the field next spring. So Billingsley was a four-star recruit from Chicago who originally committed to the University of Alabama and played 20 games while at the University of Alabama, actually garnering some really big hype heading into the 2021 draft cycle. So summer scouting from 2020 to 2021, people were really excited to see what this guy can be after he posted a career high of 287 yards in 2020. Over his career at Alabama, he had 37 receptions for 559 yards and 6 touchdowns. His career game was against Southern Miss, where he had 5 catches for 105 yards and 1 touchdown. And while at Alabama, he exhibited a lot of that high athletic upside and really blocking downside that you would expect from a guy who is kind of built the way Billingsley is built. But he does bring that rare blend of athleticism and size, height-wise that is, to the tight end position. And you can see that a lot at his time at Alabama and even at his time at Texas. And you can especially see that in the Southern Miss game, where he's just a mismatch for even slot corners on his big touchdown catch on the out and up, as well as just over the middle and running away from coverages. So people were really tantalized by the prospect that Billingsley was. He's really showing up as that high recruit 4-star player, going to a high University of Alabama and really showing out in his second season there. However, prior to the 2021 season, Nick Saban demoted him down the depth chart to be behind Cameron Latu, and by the end of that season, Billingsley announced that he's going to be transferring to Texas for the 2022 season. And right as the 2022 season started, he had to serve a 6-game suspension, which we are still unclear to this day why that happened. So now he has 2 red marks on his career to this point, where he was demoted by Nick Saban for some reason, off the field issue, on the field not progressing as well as they want. Maybe they just liked Cameron Latu more, I'm not sure. But then when he gets to Texas, he has to serve a 6-game suspension for unknown reasons to this day. Well, he finally comes back and he plays in 4 games for the Longhorns, catching 3 passes for 38 yards and no touchdowns, with his biggest game coming against Oklahoma State, where he caught 2 catches for 33 yards. Really, in that game against Oklahoma State, though, he comes out and he shows that athletic ability, shows some run after the catch and willingness to, drop his shoulder and be physical, and even has some decent blocks there. While you still see some of the weakness when it comes to sticking up blocks and wanting to be physical, he does have a couple plays where he lays his body out and is a key block for big running plays for Bijan Robinson and even Roshan Johnson. Prior to the final regular season game against Baylor, Billingsley left Texas for personal reasons. We still don't know to this day why he left himself. And then following that, he announced that he's going to be declaring for the 2022 NFL Draft, which seemed kind of like a leap in logic. He had 1 more year of eligibility, and with Texas now having an influx of quarterbacks that are going to be able to throw the ball to him and maybe another year in the system, most people thought he would stay and be, continue to play under his former offensive coordinator at Alabama, Steve Sarkisian. However, he committed, and because he committed with such low hype, he was not invited to the NFL Combine. He did, however, test at Texas Pro Day, where he ran a 4.57 40-yard dash. Now, for reference, the tight end average, as according to mockdraftable.com, is a 4.77. And for the rest of the tight ends at the Combine this year, he would have played 3rd at the Combine. And then his vertical, 36.5, was above the tight end average of 33, and also would have tied him for 3rd at the Combine. And then his 10'6" or 126-inch broad jump is greater than the 9'7" tight end average, and would have had him third in the combine yet again in this testing category. And those are the 3 tests he did perform at the pro day. So he showed out when it came to athleticism, and there are only 2 or so more guys that were more athletic freaks than he was at the combine itself, which he didn't get an invite to. So that could have helped his draft stock a lot if he went and showed out there. However, he was not invited because of his lackluster performance the prior season. Following not being drafted in the 2022 NFL draft, he was invited to the Tennessee Titans rookie minicamp, and combing through their beat writers and things like that, there wasn't much written about him and nothing really coming out of the minicamp relating to Jaleel Billingsley other than mentioning that he was one of the players that was present. And he was not signed to the Titans, and then he was drafted to the San Antonio Brahmas in the XFL draft. Last year, the San Antonio Brahmas were one of the teams that I got really the whip out and was really given a beating to in my power rankings. They were a team led by Hines Ward, and I felt like they needed a more better identity than they had. They came to the league trying to be this kind of run-heavy offense with Jacquez Patrick and Kalen Ballage really leading the way for like a strong two-headed running attack. And they kind of got away from that more, forcing Jack Cohn and then later on Paxton Lynch to throw the ball more, which was kind of something I objected to the fact of where they started from. However, one of the tight ends the Brahmas did employ, Alize Mack, went off for 28 receptions for 230 yards and a touchdown, and actually got signed by the Tennessee Titans to come play for them after showing out that season. As well, backup tight end Deion Yelder went for 9 catches for 81 yards and 1 touchdown. Billingsley enters a team where he's going to be able to fight for a starting position against a guy like Deion Yelder, who didn't really show out and didn't win the starting job last year. And with his unique blend of size, speed, skill in the receiving game, and ability to be moved around and potentially be that secondary blocker in an offense that maybe wants to run the ball more, depending on how the Brahmas running back room looks going forward, I think Billingsley could be that guy that shows out. No one really knew who he was, and despite having a lacking college statistical resume, he could be that guy who makes a name for himself and gets signed to an NFL team after having a good breakout spring season. Just recently, we've seen guys like Ja'Cour Pearson break out after having less than 400 yards at a bigger school like Ole Miss in his final season in college football, come out and get that notoriety and show out at the XFL level. And now we have a guy like Jaleel Billingsley, who was a more highly recruited player than a guy like Pearson, who went to Alabama, then went to Texas, and there was, despite having some on-field concerns, really showed he has some talent on the football field that could be capitalized on. And if he can go to the XFL and play a full season and not have any more of those off-field red flags and just play ball, I feel like he's the guy that everyone's going to be talking about next spring and going to be getting tryouts and OTA invites and things like that come next offseason. So that's my opinion on who the next XFL superstar is going to be. Next springtime football guy who's going to be brought into the NFL with a bunch of hype from those kind of secondary leagues. If you disagree, go ahead and leave in the comments who you think that's going to be. This is my odds-on betting favorite, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. And I'll see you in the next one.